And no, by heart, I can tell you that I'm not the only one that's concerned with the many remakes that has been done in later years. First of all, let me clarify where a remake might work. There are two kinds of criteria that need to be present if a remake should give meaning. Number one, that the movie can look visually much better than the original, and number two, that you can match it with better actors than you had in the original. Such a remake that would give meaning in this case is, for instance, Robocop from 2014, which is a remake from the 1987 movie. Maybe I might get some old sci-fi fans on my neck here, but to me personally, both Joel Kinnair, but especially Gary Oldman, are better actors than Peter Weller and Kurtwood Smith. In 2014, as opposed to 1987, you could also make a sci-fi movie visually much better than you could in the 80s. So for me, this is a remake I would give a green light at once. Another case that I will give the right approval is Cape Fear from 1991, which is a remake from 1962. A movie that was even filmed in black and white. The case is pretty self-explanatory to make because Scorsese could make it so much better visually than the original Cape Fear movie, which just looks scuffed on the surface. The case is neither hard to make that Robert De Niro is a much better actor than Gregory Peck, which I'm sure many of you have never heard about. But to me, at least, De Niro does the role of his life in this movie, and for me, it gave huge meaning to do the remake in this case. Lately, however, there have been talks about doing another remake of Cape Fear, and here is where I'm not on board, because Tom Hardy cannot match the talent of De Niro as it was made in 1991. I don't really see the point, because you cannot make it visually better either. Maybe you can tweak it a little bit, but given that it has not been that many years since that movie, I would not see a stunning difference like from the 1962 version to the 1991 version. Some other remake news is that there will be a remake of Another Round, which is one that I'm not on board with either. Why remake a movie that already was made in 2020 with different actors than guys such as Mads Mikkelsen and Thomas Bo Larsen, which were perfect for their roles in this movie? The only real reason I see is that the Americans can't understand the movie, even when using English subtitles, and then they need to make their own version of it. Other than that, there's no real point, and it is simply a stupid remake idea from Chris Rock, which should work on another joke to top off the Jada Smith joke instead. Lately, you have also had even more annoying remakes that actually have been released, like Society of the Snow and White Men Can't Jump, which are just shadows of the movies that they are remakes from. So the first movie dealing with this rugby team from 1972 that had to survive in rough conditions in the Andes Mountains, forced to make hard decisions every day, was a movie from 1993 called Alive. Yet nobody has even mentioned that treating this movie as a sole original when it is really not. Perhaps it would give meaning to make a sole Spanish version of it, but none of the other actors can really match the talent of Ethan Hawke, that does a marvelous lead role in the 1993 movie, where also John Malkovich works as a ravaging storyteller. It can neither be done much better visually, as also the 1993 version is a very superior movie visually. Fair enough, people would say I can't compare it 100% if I didn't watch the remake, but it would not really be no point, as it is the same story and it is not done with better actors. Perhaps that is also the reason why people are accepting remakes when they match this as an original ravaging story about a rugby team that crashed a plane in the Andes, when it is really a remake of the 1993 movie called Alive. Even more hopeless is the mentioned movie called White Man Can't Jump, which I might say has a different touch, but it is still a movie that didn't need a remake, as the version from 1992 was a cult classic and also featured better actors. Whoever has heard about Cinca Waltz or Jack Harlow? In the other case, everybody has heard about Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes, who have a very good chemistry and work great together in the original. Again, since was originally made in 1992, you can't top it off that much better visually, which is why this is just another annoying remake that should never really have been made. The message I will come with today is, do we ever get tired of remakes? And one company that certainly rides the remake train hard is Disney, who lately have started to remake their originals by twisting their original stories, causing outrage among fans. Movies such as Peter Pan, Pinocchio, and The Little Mermaid with Halle Bailey, that was already a media controversy months before it even hit the screen. Whatever people may think about it, I can safely say I agree with you. You should not twist classics in the way that they are doing. Of course, they are twisting the remakes way more than usually do. People do it by making some characters like the fairy in Pinocchio more inclusion based and making Peter Pan much weaker, but Disney has quite rightly been under a lot of criticism for deliberately wokeifying their movies for a long time now. Why ruin such good stories by making it all woke and using inclusion characters instead of just making an original story about a black fairy, for instance, or a black mermaid? Why does the original character need to be altered to their preference when that character was never meant to be that way? Yes, I get that there might just be cartoon fantasy characters and people may be overreacting, but they would upset a lot less people if they actually showed some more creativity in making original characters like they used to do. Then they would perhaps not lose that much money either. As for speculation about the future, I'm not that optimistic either. I think there will just be more remakes, and even though some people are tired of it, it is not enough to stop the endless remake cycle that is going on these days. If you look at the current movie year, there's a lot of sequels and prequels coming out, like Quiet Place Part 1, another Joker movie, another Deadpool movie, and Gladiator 2. In addition to Dune Part 2, although it perhaps shows less creativity even there, that is different because you are actually following a story and not remaking a story that is already told in precise the same way or with some minor tweaks. Basically, Remakes ensures that you do not have to do much of a job, and directors these days, while they are mostly short of original ideas, of course everybody is not going around making remakes, but in a world where there's so little room for creativity and the fear of failure is so high, it is just so easy to do a remake or perhaps a story that people already liked the idea the first time around and hope that they can like it again. So do we ever get tired of remakes again? Unfortunately, I think it will just go on endlessly, and maybe I'll be here next year to take another look at upcoming remakes in 2025.